Good afternoon to you all.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, our colleagues from Graphic. You are welcome.
Thank you.
Minister, our dialogue is over, and our colleagues from Graphic are here to present a communique to you. So, without wasting my time, I think we want to proceed.
Let's proceed.
Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abdullahi Jinapo, and Member of Parliament for Damongo constituency, the Chief Director of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Directors of the Ministry, and heads of allied agencies of the Ministry, the Editor Graphic, the Director Marketing and Sales Graphic Communications Group Limited. On behalf of myself and the team that partnered with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, we have the pleasure to present to you a report which is a build-up of all the speeches, the work sessions, deliberations that took place at that forum of the 11th and then also the 12th of May 2023. As we noted, we were seeking a broad consensus on how to get critical stakeholders to agree on a certain pathway to helping us manage our natural resources in a sustainable way and ultimately for the collective good. And I believe that we've achieved that reasonably. And at this stage, we want to present to you the report so that working with your teams, agencies, and the experts, you can now build a timetable that would enable you follow through the implementation of some of the key takeouts of this dialogue and also monitor and implement them at a certain timeline that is sustainable and meaningful to all of us. So on behalf of the team, I present to you this report. Copies will go around all the agencies, and I believe that it will work to be done as the Minister of Information guided us in his closing remarks. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Managing Director of the Graphic Group Communications Limited, Chief Director, Editor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me welcome you to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and to say how very happy we are to have you here and to very quickly commend the Graphic Group Communications Limited for putting together this all-important dialogue, stakeholders dialogue. And I want to believe that across board, almost unanimously, there is a certain consensus that the event was timely, first of all. The discussions were productive, substantive, comprehensive, and indeed, the dialogue was roundedly a success, a major success by all estimation. And therefore, we from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources are extremely grateful for the leadership you showed yourself personally as the Managing Director, the Editor, who worked very closely with the Chief Director and his team from this ministry, and your outfit in general for putting this together. I want to point out that in many parts of the world, issues of policy formulation do not become the preserve of, if you want, formal government. As a matter of fact, policies are mostly formulated from other outfits, institutions of higher learning, universities, stakeholder dialogues like you organize, where you bring together experts, a colloquium of a sort, where the best of expertise and brains are assembled to interrogate vast issues of national importance and come up with policies. And in many cases, you have governments knock on the doors of institutions such as yours, as we did, to put together brains and expertise to deliberate on matters of national importance and to, borrow your words, build consensus around national issues. And to that extent, I think that we should commend you. Government will have to commend you highly, and I so do, for putting this all-important stakeholders dialogue together. But I also want to point out that we should not end here. What we did in those 2 days was to examine the broader or the broad issue of how we can sustainably manage, utilize, and exploit our lands and natural resources, broadly speaking. I mean, even speaking as a non-expert, but having been Minister for Lands and Natural Resources for 2 years, I believe I can pontificate a bit. Which is that, I mean, take for example the issue of land administration in our country. Major issue, big issue. And then when you look at the historical antecedents of it, dating back to 1897 and the rest, when John Hensa Saba and co. fought against the then colonial government's attempt to appropriate the lands of our country. It then makes our land tenure system fundamentally different from the land tenure system of several parts of Africa. East Africa, for example, almost all the lands are vested in a government. Here, rightly or wrongly, I'm not about to pass judgment on that. The lands are diverse. Government has just a bit of it. The schools have a lot. The clans have a lot. The families have a lot. To what extent does that impact on land administration in our country? And what kind of land administration should we have in our country? What kind of land tenure system? So I want to make the point, I want to submit respectfully that beyond this dialogue, I believe is the need for us to zero in on specific issues. You know, there's a big issue out there about alluvial mining, for example, as opposed to underground mining. And surface mining as opposed to underground mining. In other words, alluvial mining as opposed to underground mining. And the question as to whether or not we should not restrict, for example, small-scale mining to underground mining, and therefore prevent all these environmental degradations that are associated with small-scale mining. That's a specific issue that can be examined. And it mustn't necessarily be a big dialogue of, you know, country-wide dialogue. But a couple of experts are brought together to interrogate these matters. I just make this point to reiterate the very consequential nature of the dialogue you organized. And I want to assure you, Mr. MD, that the ministry is going to study this report carefully. And by and large, I don't see any reason why we should not implement strictly the recommendations that are contained in this report. I want to commend you and salute you highly and let our collaboration continue. And I believe that together we can work for the good of our people and work for the good of our country. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well done. We are really grateful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. Yeah.